Well, hi everyone! Anthony Fantano here, the internet's most childish music nerd. And it's time for an album review. The new Childish Gambino album, Camp. Childish Gambino is actor, writer, rapper, and producer Donald Glover. And through shows both online and on television like 30 Rock and The Daily Show, Derek Comedy, and Community, Donald Glover has been famous way before his music career has been taking off, which was really happening last year with this EP he dropped and the mixtape Cul-de-sac. And every step of the way, I have not been a fan. And yet people keep asking me to review his stuff, so I figure just make a review, be straightforward, be honest, just say how I feel. He can rap, can't he? He has a flow, doesn't he? He has some witty wordplay, doesn't he? And yeah, he does have all those things. He has those things. I don't deny Childish Gambino's technical ability. His voice is a little whiny, but at this point, after listening to that EP, listening to Cul-de-sac, listening to this, I'm pretty much past the inflection and sound of his voice. What bugs me about his music is much greater than this. To me, in hip-hop, a genre where the lyrics are so pivotal to driving the music, what you say and how you say it are just as important to me as your technical ability. And what Childish Gambino says on this album is sad. It's a very personal, depressing, I kind of like feel bad for him sad. Because if the lyrics on this album are any reflection of Donald as a person, then to me he's revealing himself to be a very emotionally damaged and traumatized individual. I don't want to act like I know the guy. I don't know the guy, but I'm just not into the themes that are being brought up on this album. And the first major theme on this album is blackness. And Donald isn't obsessed with how black he is, but rather how black he isn't. He throws out lyrics left and right, reminding me of how black he is not. And of course the black people he doesn't consider himself to be are of course black people from the hood, who he paints as being really ignorant toward his ideas and his personality and his clothing choices. But the thing is, there's really no reason to believe him, unless you're a white person who lives in and grew up in the suburbs with very, very limited access to African Americans. There are some spare moments of solidarity on here where Donald will rap about how African Americans uniformly will suffer from racial profiling and things like that, no matter whether they're nerds or from the hood or whatever. But for the most part, Donald is just too obsessed with how unhood he is, and it's kind of disturbing. In his lyrics, he simultaneously says that the hood wants to hear him, and he's just not being given the chance to talk to these kids who grow up in these urban areas, and yet the hood has also kind of rejected him and just doesn't understand. And what kind of bugs me is that Gambino kind of boldly flaunts his personality and the aesthetic he's trying to put together and acts like it's something unique. I mean, this is 2011. There are plenty of rappers out there who are African American and not from the hood, and are way less insecure about it. And there are rappers from the hood who are 10 times more emotionally complex and sound than Childish Gambino. Just because a bunch of people are of the same color and live in the same area does not mean they all think the same thing. I've heard a lot of albums recently that have challenged hip-hop stereotypes, from Fat Sean, Kid Cudi, Strong Arm Steady, Shad, Bus Driver, Tyler the Creator, Cool Kids, Rex, Danny Brown, Elzhi, Big Crit, Shabazz Palaces, Milo, Lil B, and Kendrick Lamar. I don't love all these rappers, but they take what makes them different and they create something that is really bold and proud. A lot of them aren't rapping directly to the hood, and they don't need to remind me of that. Unlike the artists that I just listed, what makes Childish Gambino different, or slightly different rather, doesn't really add up into something bold and proud. It's more like a laundry list of insecurities. The thing is, musically, I don't even think Gambino is all that different from the rappers who he criticizes with some of his lyrics. His flow and delivery and inflection are highly influenced by guys like Kanye and Lil Wayne, especially when he's doing his punchline thing. His lyrics are insanely misogynistic, which is one of the biggest stereotypes in hip-hop. He's constantly on about doing as many women of as many different races as possible, like they're Pokemon or something, and he's got to collect them all. He's really obsessed with his fame. It seems everywhere he goes there's struggle, struggle, struggle. Sometimes he actually tries to derive struggle from his fame, which only comes out kind of pitiful. And a bunch of beats that I could totally see making their way onto like a Young Money record. If you're listening to him rap and you hear him reference stuff like Ariel Pink or Rugrats or Invader Zim, and you react like, huh, well he is just so different, isn't he? I don't think you're listening to his music very hard. I'm sorry, but Gambino is not the only rapper wearing short shorts. On the surface, Gambino is a nerd, a hardcore nerd with a pretty conscious and intelligent eye on what separates us culturally and racially. That's what he portrays on the surface to me, but you'd think if that's what he actually was, he would comment on that in a funny or witty way that was thought-provoking, a lot like how Das Racist does. Instead, Gambino kind of takes what little things separate all of us and then he just gets upset about it. I feel like I am Gambino's therapist and the pay is just not good enough. Being the odd man out is the only card Gambino knows how to play, and the thing is that he's not that odd and he's not that out. Like I said, I don't know Childish Gambino, and if this album is truly not him, then the character he's playing on this thing comes off to me as being really insecure. I mean, a character is possible, especially since the narrative at the very end of this album is a huge change of voice. It kind of goes into this really cute and funny NPR-style essay about a young crush on a summer camp bus driving away from the campgrounds. And it was pretty beautiful, and I liked it a lot. And there are some moments on this LP that get pretty personal when it comes to Gambino's past, like getting out of the hood because his parents wanted better for him, or he's rapping about problems that other family members of his have, either getting sucked into street life or maybe a substance problem too. But moments like this I can't help but feel are meant to get Gambino accepted by the culture that he's simultaneously insulting with so many lyrics on this album. A culture that, for some reason, he feels like he's been rejected by. And yeah, we could talk about these very racial and personal and emotional problems all day, but it doesn't make for very interesting listening for me. Some of the best moments with this album have a lot to do with Gambino's wordplay. Sometimes he can be pretty funny. We all know that because of his chops as a writer. And he does reference in his lyrics a lot of stuff that is relevant to me, probably because I'm white. But honestly, you're gonna have to do a lot more than just reference things to keep me interested. To make matters worse, a lot of the tracks here are readily equipped with weak fairy dust hooks that sound like they were sampled right off the Free Willy soundtrack. I mean, moments like the electro rap track Heartbeat are just unbearably corny for me. And yeah, that's pretty much the entire review. So I'm kind of feeling a strong 2 to a light 3 on this. Really didn't like it at all. Really didn't. But just being honest. What do you think about this thing? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Why? What should I review next? Anthony Fantano, Childish Gambino,